Hi Griffin-scopers, welcome back into our little magic sound booth, the place where we like to do soul birth card character analysis. Today the person I'm looking at needs absolutely no introduction. I'm looking at Prince Andrew, all for entertainment purposes only, obviously. Guys, please do like and subscribe, that helps keep the content coming to you, and if anybody would like a private reading with me, then please do get in touch. My email address is in the description box. So without further ado, let's have a look and see what his cards are. So we're going to start with some character analysis first of all. So there's a little bit of discrepancy as to whether he's an Aquarian or a Pisces. I have done my research and I've pended on it. He is a Pisces, guys, which makes him the Moon card as well as the Hermit. So we're going to start with the Moon card today. Now, as you can see in the Crow Tarot, we've got a crow that's in a cage, 3 characters. We've got a crow on a branch here, and we've got this huge crow in the moon. So the Moon card, for starters, is all to do with, you know, illusion, imagination, intuition, repetitive cycles, secrets, lies, mystery, and our emotional tides, as well as our fears and issues around our mother or being a mother. So like I said, we see these 3 characters here. Let's start with the one in the cage. So let's get that into camera. So the cage suggests for me a loss of Prince Andrew's freedom, you know, his own past choices, scandals and restrictions, the public judgment which gets put on him, you know, those parts of his reputation that have been destroyed, and the role that he's played as a royal has been severely curtailed, hasn't it? So we also have a crow on a branch here, and notice how that branch, it looks practically dead actually, that tree, and it looks very barren. The tree's stark, it's stripped of leaves, suggesting, like I said, a kind of lifelessness, a lack of growth, stagnation, and arrested development as well, I'd say. Andrew has often been criticised for being quite immature, stuck in a state of arrested adolescence, I would say, and not evolving emotionally and morally. You know, how old is he? Is he in his 70s at the minute? But yeah, once he was rooted in all that royal power, but now stripped bare, stripped down, and that crow on the branch appears to observe rather than act. It's passive, it's not engaged, and Andrew's life has shifted very much from an active royal into, you know, passivity. It's like he's in a waiting game. His fate is largely in the hands of external forces like the media, public opinion, royal decisions, and he's like that crow on the barren branch, all alone there, stagnant and bathed in the half-truth of the moonlight. His personality keeps him perched in a world of illusion rather than transformation. A world of self-deception and a refusal to face reality. You know, many great writers are born under this card because it is a card of great imagination, but the trick with how to maneuver with these energies is to learn what's real and what's imaginary. So the crow, the great big crow there in the moon, reflects his public image, a kind of projection shaped by illusion, half-truths and borrowed light, his royal status. And it's how he is seen but not necessarily how he is. There's a sense of him being both present and also absent. It's like he's looking at his image there, this great big oversized crow. So there's a sense where his identity is kind of like shaped by the shadows and illusions. We see the shadows coming in from the clouds here, and it's kind of like a borrowed status rather than something that's authentic and genuine selfhood. His life lesson from all of these energies, these three crows, involves confronting the truth of who he is beyond the illusions. The caged crow shows the cost of secrecy, lies and denial. You know, we know the more lies you tell, the more you cage yourself. And the observer crow reminds him, you know, he can't escape judgment or self-reflection. And the big crow in the moon tells him he must separate and reflect on what he tries to project as real and make us believe, and, you know, his real essence. So his challenge is to step out of the illusion and into accountability, move from being a trapped reflection into authentic light. So the moon relates to mother, our mothers, like I said, or being a mother. Mother figures present in a person's life. And Andrew, as some say, was actually Queen Elizabeth's favourite son. So he kind of lived under that veil of his mother's protection, where truth was obscured or softened. And Elizabeth may well have kind of shielded him from any kind of accountability, creating an illusion of safety that delayed consequences and personal growth for him. So that I mean, she was around a lot more for Andrew than she was for Charles or Anne, for instance. So that feeling he projected onto others of his royal untouchability was sustained partly by her enduring loyalty to him. So with Queen Elizabeth's passing, that protective lunar glow is gone, leaving him, you know, more exposed and uncertain than ever, I guess. So Prince Andrew, through the lens of the Hermit, his other character card, cuts quite a lonely figure here. Andrew now lives in a kind of forced seclusion, and that secludedness kind of comes after so much scandal. And like the hermit crow, he's perched away from others at a distance, away from the rest of the royal family, and not officially exiled, but symbolically alone, existing in a symbolic winter. Look, it's actually snowing there. It's a really cold place to be. And the barren, cold imagery in this card reflects the emptiness of his current public life. So once active in royal duties, now he's stripped of most of those responsibilities, left out in the cold here. And, you know, this is a snowing, wintry card. The hermit's symbol is the lantern, and it's supposed to, you know, make us reflect inwardly, come up with some inner wisdom to illuminate our own inner truths. So for Andrew, this could symbolize kind of like the pressure to engage in introspection or accountability or soul searching. But his personality traits suggest very much resistance, a propensity to cling to denial. And traditionally, the hermit represents wisdom gained through solitude. But in Andrew's case, this higher aspect is completely distorted, certainly through the moon's influence and energy, and his withdrawal isn't chosen spiritual retreat, but social consequence. And his personality traits, things like arrogance, entitlement, and avoidance as well, prevents the life lesson flowering into wisdom. And instead, it manifests as like a shadow hermit for him, the energy of loneliness, disgrace, and alienation. He's literally, especially with that snow falling, it's like he's frozen in time, failed to grow beyond privilege and indulgence, frozen by scandal, and unable actually to transmute solitude into insight. Thus, he remains the fallen hermit, isolated and unenlightened. So because the hermit governs the number 9, Andrew will relate to all of the 9s in the tarot. So the 9 of Swords here, you can see that 9 swords hang above this crow here, and it's like a never-ending nightmare that he can't wake up from. All the scandals, Epstein, the BBC interview with Emily Maitlis, the loss of the Royal Row, the Royal Row. I was thinking of the Royal Rogue then, the Royal Roll. His personality projects denial. But the 9 of Swords shows that deep down, actually, he's haunted by all of this. Even if he won't admit it, we can see that it's there. The 9 of Cups, quite an obvious one, I guess, reflects his life of privilege, indulgence, luxury, and excess pleasure. Lots and lots of women has this man had. I can remember when I was growing up, they used to call him Randy Andy. And the crow looks quite smug here, I would say, as well. Mirrors Andrew's arrogance, like I said, the hedonism, his own sense of I'm untouchable. So the 9 of Pentacles, this would be like his birthright, lifestyle, privilege, security, abundance. He never lacked for material comfort. However, he did have very, very expensive tastes, fraternizing with, multi-millionaires, billionaires, this kind of thing. And it was hard for him to keep up, even with the money that he was given. So yeah, the privilege is now tainted. The wealth and safety remain, I guess, to an extent, but his reputation is long gone. He's dependent on the crown financially and socially. So the 9 of Wands, he's in defensive mode here, I would say. Not growth mode, defensive mode. Always protecting himself against attacks from media, the public scrutiny. There's a new royal book out about him. And even protecting himself against the royal family as well, to an extent. Charles isn't that close to him. He kind of lives in survival mode, looking at this card. He refuses to back down on anything, even when he's surrounded by naysayers. So Andrew embodies the shadow side of all of the nines, unable to grow, unable to evolve beyond these energies, what they had to teach him, and thus grow into the wisdom of the tens is just not there. So his soul cards are the Magician and the Wheel of Fortune. So the Magician has infinite potential, limitless possibilities. All the tools are on the table, look. Many resources at his disposal. The Magician is a master manifester. When all these energies, you know, the cup, the sword, the pentacle, the wand, when all that energy is channeled with focus, the Magician's power is to align vision with their will and their focus. And the resources, obviously. So Andrew did have immense resources at his disposal from the get-go: status, wealth, influence, but he used them all in self-serving ways. And in the shadow of the Magician, well, you know, he can be a silver-tongued liar, he can be a manipulator, and Andrew's association with Epstein and the denials around his scandals reflect this darker Magician energy. You know, it's the snake oil salesman, isn't it? So his life lesson here was to transform all of those gifts of privilege into meaningful impact, not ego indulgence. And then with the Wheel of Fortune, oh, look at that. We see a whole ring of crows, some going up, some at the very top, and some slipping downward. And the imagery suggests what is, you know, up today may well come down tomorrow. No position is fixed. In the Rider-Waite card, we actually see, instead of crows, we actually see royalty going round the wheel. And he was at the top of privilege when he was born, but brought down by disgrace. And the karmic reckoning of the wheel's life lesson, you know, is no matter how important you are, no matter what you were born into, you know, no one escapes the cycles of life and karma. And Andrew's scandals show the turning of fate's wheel, stripping him of public role, reputation. There's a denial with Andrew of the impermanence of these cycles. And, you know, cycles is something that goes very, very much with the moon. Round and round he goes, never really learning the lessons. So a failure really to internalize the wheel's teaching here. He seemed to believe that his position was very much fixed up here at the top, rather than being subject to life's changes. If there's one thing we can rely on, it's that life is going to change. And the life lesson is for him to learn humility in the face of cycles, recognize fortunes shift. You know, they don't stay in one place, and downfall can be the seed of deeper transformation. It depends which way you want to look at it. And the lessons have been completely ignored thus far. So I guess looking on the brighter side, he could still, even if it is later in his life, embrace some of these lessons he's been dealt, But my feeling is that stubborn arrogance and pride seem to keep him bound to, you know, denial rather than move through this, or move through his karmic trials, shall we say. So let's just take some oracles, we'll do some pendulum readings, and we'll get some charms as well. Okay, so show us anything we need to know, please. Any icing on the cake? Woo! We've got Faller already. Look at that. Ghosts. And we've got one crow feather that's dropped here. So there's a message. There's a message in the past. The ghosts that kind of haunt him in that Nine of Swords. There's no escaping. Okay, so we've got ghosts there. And from the pendulum, I'll just take a few. So it's right for a yes, left for a no, up and down for a maybe, stop for a block, we're not meant to know. So, does Andrew still see himself as a member of the royal family? Yes or no? Does he actually still see himself as a member of the royal family? And the answer to that is yes. Does Andrew still, deep down, believe he is untouchable? Does he still believe deep down that he's untouchable? Does he still, deep down, believe that he's untouchable? And the answer to that, guys, is yes. Still thinks he's at the top of that Wheel of Fortune. Okay, question 3. All for entertainment purposes only. Did Prince Andrew know Virginia? Did Prince Andrew know Virginia? For entertainment purposes only, did Prince Andrew know Virginia? And that's right for a yes. Is there anything for him to feel guilty about there? Because he might just know her, you know. Is there anything for Prince Andrew to feel guilty about regarding Virginia? For entertainment purposes only. And we go to a yes for that. So all yeses. Okay, interesting. Let's go to our charms then, see what we can glean there. Dig deep, dig deep. Love the sound of the rolling charms. Okay. Oh, we haven't had this one. We've got the, oh gosh, I don't know which way it came up now. Okay, we might do a tossing of the coin of fate, guys, in a mo. So we've got the yes or no coin. Got to think of a question. And interesting. We have a spider's web with an actual little spider there in the corner. Oh, pair of ballet shoes. Okay, right, so ballet shoes, let's start there. So when I think of ballet, I think of grace, I think of discipline, elegance, poise, and performance. Kind of all the things, really, that Andrew portrays on the surface, with that big crow. On the surface, the projected image. Poise, grace, elegance, all the things you'd expect of a royal. spider's web and the spider. I guess kind of like how he's trapped others, but now he's trapped himself in that solitude of the hermit. Trapped by his own actions, maybe lies, deceit, disclaimer, all the complicated or interconnected, you know, every sticky strand reflects a lie told, a choice made, or maybe a lesson learned or to be learned. Okay, coin of fate, guys, coin of fate. Does Andrew have any regrets? No! There you go. Arrogance. Oh my God, that's shocking. Right, okay. That's the end. Make of that what you will. Drop your comments in the box below. I will see you on the next, guys. Don't forget, if anybody would like a private reading with me, then please do get in touch. I can't believe that was a no. Okay, you have a blessed rest of the day, and I will see you on the next. Bye for now.